Hello and welcome to the Links Lives Natters podcast, episode 5. Today's guest is Serena Twibell from TwibellArts. Serena is talking about her love of art and nature and how she uses recyclable products in her work. Please accept our apology for today's sound quality for the first few minutes. And now, word from our sponsors. J&S Plumbing. J&S Plumbing is your local, friendly, reliable plumbing and heating engineer covering Lincoln and surrounding areas. Our experienced and fully qualified heating engineers are on hand to carry out boiler installation, repairs and servicing. Just call 01522 708 208. That's 01522 708 208 or email sales@jasplumbingandheating.co.uk. Hello and welcome to Links Lives Natters with Serena.
Yes.
From Twibell. Tell me, Serena, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
TwibellArts.
TwibellArts.
Yes.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. The lady said it for herself. I wanted to talk to you because obviously I follow you on Twitter.
Yes.
And you produce some absolutely gorgeous pieces of art. And the first thing I wanted to ask you was, are you a Lincolnshire girl? Were you born in Lincolnshire?
No, I wasn't, actually. No, I grew up in Retford in North Nottinghamshire.
That's not far. That's not that far
not
over
far,
the border.
no. I moved to Lincolnshire for work. I worked for Heritage Services for many, many years.
Wow, that's another interview.
Yeah, that's a whole different story, a whole different life as well. I just moved. I've always lived rurally. I grew up rurally on the outskirts of Retford. I live here in a small village in a stone cottage with a beautiful cottage garden and a cat. And that's me, with nature being a big part of who I am.
Yeah, tell us about what you actually do and what sort of inspires you to do what you do.
Well, what inspires my work? That's a very interesting question. I paint mainly wildlife, so I paint birds and I paint animals, but I will only paint what I have seen or what I've photographed. My totem is the giraffe, but I've never seen a giraffe in the wild, so I won't paint a giraffe because I won't understand how a giraffe lives in the wild or reacts in the wild. But if I've seen a fox, which I have done in the woods near where we live, then I will paint a fox or any of the birds that come into my garden or my cat. So my inspiration is nature. It's nature. It's what I'm inspired by what's around me.
Do you think they're your biggest artistic influences? Is like you've just said about the fox and the cat, because they're around you, so they sort of influence what you want to draw and to paint?
Absolutely, definitely. It's very personal. Art is very personal to me. It is where I am, what I have around me. I like this quiet idyll. I love nature. I love the sense of peace and quiet that I have. But I don't think it's just about physically where you come from. There's a sense of culture as well. It's to do with family. Okay, I grew up in the countryside, so that inspires me. But what also inspires me is the fact that I come from an Italian family. And my inspiration from a very early age came from the culture of Italy.
And that was going to be my next question.
There you go. So I've got an artistic and cultural influence. So of being creative, of always being creative and always being artistic. And I've always absorbed this. I spent a lot of time in Italy and soaking up all the culture from Rome, from Florence, from Pompeii. But I would never presume to reconstruct any of that because some of those artists and that history is so inspirational. It's beyond me, but it can recharge the artistic muse.
I imagine so. I imagine so. You know, do you have a sort of favourite time of day you like to create, in the morning or the evening, the afternoon, or sort of just whenever you feel
Oh, it's
sort of the urge?
it seems to be always the morning with me. I'm a very early riser, especially this time of the year. I mean, I just get up really early, especially if the sun's shining. That is, you know, inspirational. The light is good, the light's clear. In the winter, you have to rely on daylight bulbs. It's not the same. The clarity is not the same. Colors don't look the same on the palette or on the paper. So yes, morning, especially this time of the year.
Yeah, that's because I really like sunsets, and when first thing in the morning when the sun's coming up, because it's such I feel like it's a real powerful time of the morning and things like
Yes.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, yes. It's the
Yeah.
colors.
Do you think it helps, you know, say you're not feeling very well or anything like that, and you think, I'm going to get my paintbrushes out?
Well, it can be. Yes. I mean, I think art is important to a lot of people in that way. Art is important to society in I think in two different ways. As you said, creatively, it can aid with stress, with anxiety. It can affect your mood. It can lift you. It's very emotive. It can enrich lives. I mean, you think about a life, how different it would be without art in every sense. I mean, can you imagine a life without paintings, without music, without dance, without theatre, without the cinema, without literature? It would be so two-dimensional. It would be so dull.
Yeah, because I think people tend to forget, because some of the everyday items that we use, somebody has to design them, somebody has to put pen to paper to put these things together. So that explains, you know, you say about chairs, people have to design chairs, furniture. I know it's not the same sort of thing, but somebody still has to sort of design those things, don't they? So, you know, a life without art would be so not right, because I don't want to say boring.
No,
It just wouldn't be right, would it?
no, it wouldn't be as colourful. It wouldn't be so emotive. I mean, art, I guess it's so important. It's important to me. But if people analyze why it's important, it's an expression of our society. It can be reactive, it can be proactive. I mean, it can be used as a very positive tool. I mean, through history, there's been many artists and artistic movements that have played such a role to advance changes. That, you know, they can highlight social changes, you know, like Banksy, and his, you know, and any sort of political motivations for art, like the guerrilla artists.
Yeah, because there's a new artist breaking through at the moment. You say about grime artists.
Yes,
I think you class Banksy as that sort of
yes,
genre, do you? There is another one coming through. And then I get so upset when people in authority feel the need to take it down, don't they?
yes, yes, they do. I mean, what they're not realizing is that it is, as I said, an expression of society. They shouldn't, you know, take things, remove things, because the artist is trying to convey a point. And sometimes it can be quite a you know, positive point. I mean, one example, I guess, if you think about Picasso, he painted Guernica, and that's a powerful political point. It's an anti-war statement. You know, it's so. I just think art is just so important. It's so emotive, and life would be, you know, I think it would be dull without any of the arts and the expression that people can convey through any of the arts, any of the art forms.
Going back to another question, how do you define success as an artist?
Well, that's a very interesting question, actually. If you'd asked my younger self, a lot younger self, it would have been monetarily. I always remember when I was a student, I thought to myself, if I can sell a painting for £100, I've made it. That's successful. I equated success to money. I guess, yeah, I was just young and foolish, basically. But I soon
I think
learned.
we've all been there as well. You know, it's like I get 1,000 viewers or listeners. I was like,
Yes,
oh yeah, I
yeah,
can make this and I
made
can
it.
do that. But for me now, it's not sort of like, no, it's not about that. It's
No,
about educating the community.
yes, yes, you've actually that is so important, because you realize that life is not so simple as that. It's not as simple as all that. That's actually quite, I think back at myself and I think, well, that's actually quite crass. Success has different meanings now to me. Maybe I've just mellowed with age, but success to me now is more sort of, it's inner peace, it's contentment with what you create, it's how people view what you do, the pleasure they get out of what you do.
Exactly.
Striving to do the best you can. So success now equates to happiness. I mean, monetary success, it's useful, but it's not lasting.
Had you ever worked as a professional artist before?
Well, I started off, again, as we said, it's a whole different story, because I was in heritage services for a long time. And then I worked for the University of Lincoln for a very long time as well, with the Dean of School for Media and Communications. So I've always been in the cultural industries, but I've always painted. And I know that it's a huge cliche, isn't it, to say that, yes, I've always painted, you know, but it's actually true. That was my personal journey. You come to a point where you think, you know what, I've always been doing it. So why don't I just carry on doing it? It makes me happy. Hopefully it makes other people happy. But the interesting thing, you use the word professional artist. You see, I don't actually distinguish between professional and amateur. I hate the term amateur, because I think that if anybody creates, they're an artist. It's an artist, full stop. Doesn't matter whether they're professional or amateur. I have seen so many artists who are just absolutely tremendous in what they do, and yet they call themselves a hobbyist. No, you're not. You're an artist.
Do you think your art style has changed over the years?
No, it hasn't. I've always painted very, very tiny. I love miniatures. I'm absolutely obsessed with miniatures. I love anything miniature. I've always painted very, very small, very intricate watercolors. I do more acrylics now. That's the only difference. But that was because for some of the compositions, I wanted a more jewel-like effect, and I wanted it more impasto, a bit thicker. So I did my little cat miniatures just recently on canvas, just to keep the muse going, to do something different. I've just added to my repertoire, I guess, because what I've done is I've always had an interest in antiques and vintage. So I've I mean, we're talking 20 years. I started 20 years ago recycling vintage, because that's something I've always been interested in.
Yeah, because you tend to recycle a lot of things, don't you?
Yes, I think it's very important to recycle. Well, one thing, I've got a design history background. So antiques and vintage, I've always been interested in the history of art and objects. And vintage and antiques, they are the ultimate in recycling. So it's not just about selling them, it's about repurposing and reusing, because there's so much waste, isn't there? Let's face it. People just find it so easy to throw things away, adding to the mountains of rubbish yet to decompose. I'm very, very passionate about, this. And in my small way, I'm hoping to, if I can just eliminate a little bit by repurposing. Say, if I've got a vintage teacup that hasn't got a saucer, I can make that into a pincushion. If I've got a tatty embroidered 1950s, beautifully hand embroidered, tablecloth, but it's got holes in, I can't resell it as a tablecloth, but I can cut it up and make it into a garland. Frames, that's another one. For my paintings, I never buy a new frame. I will be scouring junk shops, charity shops, car boots. I will reuse frames. I will take whatever is in there. Sometimes there isn't even anything in the frame, and just reuse a frame. You can paint a frame. You can get some wax out and clean up the wood. Again, it's reusing and you know, making things better and new and clean.
If you had to choose a specific fabric or a frame or a specific recycled item, what's your favourite to work with?
I don't have a favourite. It all depends what I find. I mean, I can be scouring a car boot. Say the other day, I went to the car boot and I found an original Singer embroidery hoop. Beautiful Singer
Wow.
embroidery hoop.
Singer.
Yeah, and it had the Singer logo on the side, and I thought, right, I'm having that. It's next to no money. I can actually do something with that. So I go home, and then I just sketch something up, and yeah, I'm selling it on my site now on Etsy. I've made a little rabbit and some carrots out of felt, and you know,
anybody who follows you would have seen you creating this week.
Yes,
because you do post when you're creating.
Yes,
stuff. Because I must admit, I do like the cats. The
oh,
miniature
thank
cats.
you.
Also, did I see some donuts? You'd made a donut.
Yeah, I did. Sometimes just to be a little bit whimsical, because I don't paint in the afternoon because I find the light starts fading. But I need to keep doing something using my hands. I need to keep being creative. And I've started doing a lot of sort of felt whimsical things to see if I can actually do it just for the fun of it. And I make a lot of garlands. And one garland I thought, I'm going to see if I can make a fast food garland. And so it's got donuts on it. It's actually bizarre. It's got a cheeseburger, a hot dog, a pretzel. All vegan, by the way, because I'm vegan. But you know, they're made of felt, so I guess they are vegan. But it turned out really, really well.
If people wanted to buy your art, where can they buy your art? And what sort of things are you selling at the moment?
Okay, well, my Etsy page is TwibellArts.etsy.com, and I showcase all my eclectic felt funkies. They're fun home decor items. Funkies, I know. Fun home decor items, mainly garlands and some, you know, the hoop art, etc. But you know, I've also got my little cat miniatures. So there's acrylic paintings, and then there's the more realistic watercolor paintings as well. I'm available for commissions as well, and I can alter things. I mean, one lady, she wanted a garland from me, but she wanted specific colors and autumn leaves, etc. So I'm very amenable with what I do. And also there's the recycled items there as well. I don't post many things. I don't, because it takes me a long time to do things. Everything's one of a kind. Yeah, it's all one of a kind. They're all unique. You're not going to get, I don't churn them out. I can't make many things of items. And I don't sell prints of items either. They're all original that you see, all hand painted, hand sewn, and made with love by me.
Exactly. A lot of love and a lot of care goes into these products, you know, a lot of thought. But now,
yes.
Last week, Philippa East got 12 out of 22.
Oh no.
Serena, we're going to try and beat the 12.
I doubt it, but we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, I am going to get 5 minutes up on my clock.
Oh, I have to. Oh, I'm timed. Oh no. Oh,
yes.
Oh, there's so much pressure now.
Serena, you have 5 minutes.
Oh no.
From now. Okay, describe yourself in 3 words.
Empathetic, artistic, cats.
What makes you laugh?
This at the moment.
My podcast.
Yes.
What's your favourite thing about Lincolnshire?
The fact that it's unspoilt.
So your favourite place to go in Lincolnshire?
The coast.
Okay, if you were to write a book about your life in 3 words,
No.
what would it be called?
She really tried.
If you were an ice cream flavour, what would you be?
I'd be a sorbet, lemon sorbet.
Wow, that's different. Favourite place to eat in Lincolnshire?
Oh, picnics at the seaside.
Last time you went to the theatre cinema, what did you watch?
I think it was.
I can say TV.
Last thing I watched on TV, Succession.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a favourite plate?
Plate?
A plate?
A plate?
Do you like a side plate, a bowl, or a dinner plate?
Oh, a big pasta bowl.
Uh-huh. Favourite tourist attraction in Lincolnshire?
Gainsborough Old Hall.
Yeah, that's different. What's your favourite Lincolnshire food?
Lincolnshire food? Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh no, I have no idea. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know any. No, sorry.
You don't like Lincolnshire poacher cheese, or?
I'm vegan. I don't get out much. I like anything at Cafe Shanty.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll put Cafe Shanty.
Thank you.
What advice would you give yourself at age 15?
What advice? Oh, calm down. It'll all be all right in the end. O levels, you see.
If you had the power of King Midas, what would you choose to turn everything into you touch?
Oh, I just want a nice, empathetic, happy thing. Nothing solid. Just a happy pill.
If you could travel back in time, what year would you go back to?
Oh, I'd like to go and meet the pre-Raphaelites in the Victorian period.
That's interesting. Why'd you choose that?
Oh, I just love their artwork. I'd like to be part of their bohemian lifestyle and meet Rossetti and Lizzie Siddle and warm her up when she came out of the bath, you know, after Millet painted her.
Okay, if you're in a band,
oh yeah,
any era,
yeah,
who would you be?
Who would I be? Oh yeah, gosh, Stevie Nicks, any era at all. Love her clothes, love her voice.
Stevie Nicks is absolutely brilliant.
Love her.
Brilliant on that one. As a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, an artist, yeah. And a museum curator, and I've done both of them.
Tell me something about you we haven't spoken about today.
Oh, I can't actually think of anything other than the fact that when I was younger, my friends were talking about what they were going to be when they grew up, and they all said that I was going to live in a cottage in the middle of nowhere with cats, and they were right.
They were right. And we've got 20 seconds. If you were the last person on earth, where would you choose to live?
Florence.
And that is 5 minutes. 18 out of 22. You are currently in the lead.
Did I beat Philippa?
You did.
Oh, well,
we're really sorry, Philippa, if you're listening, Philippa.
I am so telling
Philippa
her.
is back in. Philippa, thank you so much for talking to the Links Lives podcast today about your wonderful art and where we can buy it. You just want to tell me again where people can purchase your items?
Yes, of course. I have an Etsy shop, which is TwibellArts.etsy.com, where you can buy all the artwork, the craft work, and some choice pieces of vintage. I also have a unit, room 52, at the Canberra Antique Centre at Hemswell, and that's filled with beautiful linens and china and glassware, and also vintage vinyl.
Absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much for joining us on the Links Lives podcast, and we shall no doubt talk to you again soon.
It's my pleasure. Anytime you want to talk art, you know where to find me, because I can wax lyrical about
Serena,
art all night.
Serena, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
And thank you for listening to today's podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to thank my guest today, which was Serena Twibell. I'd also like to thank my tech team who spend hours upon hours editing the podcast. I'd also like to thank my sponsor, J&S Plumbing. I really hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to wherever you receive your podcast from. Thank you. Bye-bye.